Okay, then I'm predicting the Minnesota Vikings record prediction. So looking at the roster, I'm not a fan of the Vikings at all this year. Their offense doesn't look that bad. Their offensive line do have some good pieces like Darisaw, Risner, who's not bad. Their skill position players are good with Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Addison. But I don't think Hawkinson is going to return to full form until like very late in the season. And I don't like Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. I think they're both going to be horrible this year. And their defense, I think their defense lacks talent. I think all levels of their defense are like below average. And I think people have solved out Brian Flores' scheme, so I just don't like the Vikings this year. I think they're going to be an ass team. I might be completely wrong, but I don't think they're going to be any good this year, and that's my hot take. So if you're Week 1 versus the Giants, regardless of who starts, I think the Giants have a better defense that can cause problems for a new Vikings quarterback. And regardless of how bad that Vikings offense is, I think that or the Giants' offenses. I think the Giants with home field advantage and a better defense will take home the win. Then you have Week 2 versus the Niners. Niners arguably the most talented team, even with the holdouts. This game, the Niners should easily win. There's nothing in Vikings defense that can stop CMC. I gotta take the Niners here. Then you have Week 3 versus the Texans. Texans another young upstart team. I think the Texans defense will improve enough to slow down that Vikings offense, and that Texans offense will be too much for the Vikings defense. So I'm going to take the Texans here. In Week 4 versus the um, Packers, it is a divisional game. However, these two teams are the opposite trajectory. Packers are a young team. They're looking upwards while the Vikings are falling downwards. I gotta take the Packers here. They're just way more talented. Then you have them versus the Jets. Jets do have a really talented team. Um, However, I think the Vikings have home field advantage. I don't really trust Aaron Rodgers early in the season. I think the Vikings. This is one of those games where Brian Flores' defense will take over. I don't trust that Jets offensive line, so I'm going to take the Vikings here, upsetting the Jets. Then you have them versus the Lions. Vikings are coming off a bye, but Lions just so much more talented. They're like Super Bowl contenders, the Lions, and the Vikings aren't. It is a divisional game, so hard to tell, but I gotta take the Lions here. Then you have Week 8 versus the Rams on Thursday Night Football. First of all, a very big home field advantage for the Rams. They have a short week. The Vikings have to travel to the West Coast. The Rams, their offense was very talented. I don't think the Vikings defense can stop it, and that Vikings offense, even though they're not bad, the Rams defense I don't think is that bad either. I'm gonna take the Rams here. Then you have them versus the Jaguars, or the Vikings versus the Colts. I like the Colts more than I like the Vikings. I think Anthony Richardson can be very good. He's a freak that will cause problems for that Vikings defense, and that Colts defense, even though it's not great, I'm gonna take the Colts here. Week 10 versus the Jaguars. I got Jaguars. They're just the more experienced team. They have Trevor. Doug Peterson is a very good coach. Um, I'm gonna take the Jaguars here. Then week 11 versus the Titans. I can see this game going either way. The Titans, not. I'm also not a huge fan of Will Levis, but he can sling the rock deep. Um, I think the Titans with home field advantage and a more talented, with decent skill position players and a more well-rounded team. I gotta take the Titans here. Then you have week 12 versus the Bears. This one could be a tight game. Um, this one could be tight. They are more talented. However, it is a divisional game, so it's not easy to predict. Um, However, I gotta take the Bears here. Then you have week 13 versus the Cardinals. Cardinals, another rebuilding team. I do think the Cardinals are more talented than the Vikings slightly. I trust Kyler more than I trust whoever's starting for the Vikings. But Vikings with home field advantage, I'm gonna take the Vikings here. Then week 14 versus the Falcons. I can definitely see this game being upset for the Falcons. However, even with the Vikings home field advantage, I think the Falcons, Kirk Cousins will want this revenge game. I'm going to take the Falcons here. Week 15 versus the Bears. Like I said earlier, I do think that the Bears and Vikings play each other tough, and I do think they'll split. So I'm going to take the Vikings here. Week 16 versus the Seahawks. Um, Seahawks, their offense, I think, will be too much, especially with home field advantage. I'm going to take the Seahawks here. Then week 17 versus the Packers. I think the Packers will need this game to win the division. I think the Packers are going to sweep the Vikings. And then week 18 versus the Lions. Again, like I said, Lions are just so much more talented. They improved their defense. I'm going to take the Lions here, sweeping the Vikings. So in you have the Vikings going 3-14, 1-5 in the division, 3-6 at home, and 0-8 away.